nxivm34.com.
John from Saratoga is up. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hi, I'm the guy from the blog, the guy who runs Saratoga in Decline. I'm the one who writes about NXIVM, and I'm the guy who got mentioned in both those stories.
You're not
You're
not an anonymous blogger, though, are you?
No, I'm not. Everybody knows who I am, and I answer, and I paid a price for it, too.
Well, I appreciate the stones demonstrated by you as opposed to many bloggers that just hide behind screen names and stuff like that. So good on you for doing that. What's NXIVM? What is this all about?
Well, NXIVM, I believe, is a cult that tricks people into giving them massive amounts of money to somebody who I believe is I don't give him the respect some people do. Some people say he's brilliant, this and that. I think he's just a two-bit con man myself.
You're talking about Rainier here, who's actually been, hasn't he? He's been in trouble with the law for pyramid schemes and the like, right?
Yeah, and anybody who gives themselves nicknames like Vanguard, wears a robe, and makes people bow to him, I don't really take that seriously.
So, how did you get into this?
Because a long time ago, in the politics in Saratoga, I love Saratoga, it's my hometown, I found out that our ex-mayor, Valerie Keene, had an affiliation with them, and they might be in the process of buying the Adelphi Hotel on Broadway for one of their educational centers.
Okay.
And the more I looked into it, the more it just got darker and stranger and stranger and stranger.
Well,
it's like an onion. You pull back one layer, and then there's another layer, and it's even more strange.
Well, here's what's unique. I kind of, the only kind of weird big thing like this that I really got involved in, and it was actually Tom Cruise is to blame, was Scientology, when he really got in Matt Lauer's face that moment and started saying that, you know, psychiatric drugs were wrong and all this stuff was wrong. And having some experience in the mental health field, I thought this guy has totally jumped the shark. He's a nut. In many of these cases, these drugs actually improve and save people's lives. So for him to go on national television and do that is really irresponsible. So I started in looking into Scientology and then realized, well, now I know why he's like that. It's because Scientology is its own type of psychiatry, and anything outside of that would be unacceptable to a guy like Tom Cruise. And then I also looked at it as, because it's a religion, it's tax exempt and that kind of thing, how it's set up that you never really reach the level that is promised you. There's always a carrot and a carrot and a carrot, and it's going to take money, time, effort, dedication to keep going, and then as soon as you reach one level, you got to go to the next one, and all of this stuff, and it just got totally crazy. And I looked at it and I said, well, anybody rational who looks at this on the outside looking in would think this is a bunch of nonsense and not even participate. Is NXIVM like that at all, or is it something different?
There's a lot of parallels between NXIVM and Scientology. In fact, I think he just borrowed most of his ideas from Scientology. In fact, they shared one lawyer because they both have the same thing. They sue all their critics. That's what they do. As you may know or may not know, Steve Coffey's law firm threatened me, and I filed a complaint against him just for my blog. And they spend hours every day on my blog. I mean, I have been followed. If you read my blog, it's all in detail. They have cars following me. They've threatened me with arrest. They've said I'm guilty of hate crimes. I haven't figured that one out, what the connection is, you know, with hate crimes. But they're acting like they're a religion, although they go out of their way to say they're not a religion.
John, hold on.
That persecuted mentality.
John, hold on a second.
I got these people against us.
John, I got to take a break here. Stick around on the other side because I want to ask you. There's two things at work here because I'm a free speech nut job, and I would totally defend you for having an opinion about anything. You can have an opinion about the Catholic Church. You can have an opinion about Islam. You can have an opinion about NXIVM or Scientology, and that you're certainly entitled to your opinions, and that should never be suppressed or squashed in any way. But I want to ask you on the other side of the break, if you could stick around, what makes this or this group something that other people have to be concerned about? And I ask that because Scientology I disagree with 100%. However, people have their own choices to make in life, and if this is something they believe is going to work for them, who are we to interfere with that? And I'll ask you that think about that, and I'll get to you on the other side. I'm Al Roney, Talk 1300. Now, Ronnie, coming up after 4 o'clock, we're going to be talking to the Glenville apartment manager who's being accused of being discriminatory over in Glenville. But right now I'm talking with John Ty, who's a blogger, local blogger, who's been talking about NXIVM a lot. 2 big articles about this group called different things by different people, one in the New York Post, one in the Albany Times-Union, and he's mentioned in both of these stories. I guess you're the go-to guy or critic of these guys. What's the question before the break, John, I was asking was, where does this go into the bounds of, okay, there are people doing what they want to do, and if you want to throw away your fortune or millions of dollars on something that you believe in, why should we be concerned with that?
Well, absolutely. If a bunch of rich people want to give away their money to this guy, that's their own business. But the problem is now they've started what could be an illegal adoption of a child. I believe they're experimenting on a child. I believe that they have corrupted some government officials in the area to get their way with governments. I believe they were a hostile influence in Saratoga Springs government. And I believe that they go beyond just being a little... I believe they're dangerous. I really do. And
well, where do you go from belief to proof and backing up the facts, and going with that? Because you look at almost any religion or any of these kind of things, and NXIVM to me looks kind of like a quasi-religion type of setup here. I mean, just from the outside looking in, best you can be kind of stuff, and self-improvement, very much a pathway next to Scientology as far as what it promises to do for people too. But where did we go over to, hey, investigation or the danger or kidnapping and these kind of things? How do you back that up?
Well, that's when it gets complicated, like using funds from nonprofits for illegal things, money that's been raised, how they got the Dalai Lama here, mysterious trust funds that were set up at the same time. This is where investigative reporting comes in, and it's hard to put all, like the child. There's a million questions about the child. Everybody has to sign. Everybody involved has to sign these 6-page confidentiality agreements, which I have. That basically you have to give them your blood type and everything else to join. And that's why so many of these people are so afraid, because they go after their critics. They have this paranoia about them, and they have destroyed people's lives. They've driven people into bankruptcy with lawsuits. I would fully expect probably to get sued shortly. And, they intimidate their critics, and they're just so hung up on, secrecy and their paranoia. And now with this kid, which they're just absolutely is frightening, the mysterious origin of this child, and there's allegations of illegal, things going on and this and that, and that's where you need investigations. That's where you need law enforcement to come in and take a look.
Has there I know there's been a lot of smoke around this group and Mr. Rainier and other people, but has that ever happened? Has there been any type of investigation of abuse or psychological programming or brainwashing or any of these kind of things? Have they ever taken place?
As far as I know, this is hearsay, but I believe there's some taking place now, although I cannot prove that. I've heard that because I've never been a member of NXIVM, and unfortunately most of the people I deal with have been, and they have signed these confidentiality agreements with them, and they're very, cautious. And, see, nothing's happened to me. I've been out there writing about them for months, and they haven't been able to silence me. They can't buy me. They can't scare me, and I'm still out there.
Well, no, you have First Amendment protection on that. I mean, absolutely.
Tell that to Steve Coffey next time you see him.
Well, let's okay, I will. But you know what lawyers do, don't you?
I beg your pardon?
You know what lawyers do. There's a whole Times-Union Center filled with people. You know what they do. I mean, they do a job they're paid for by their clients to do something to represent their interest. Yeah. It doesn't always reflect their personal opinions about stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not, and put it this way, it's not always personal. It's about It's about what your client wants you to do. And that's how you stay in business as an attorney. You can't just say, oh, no, I'm not taking anybody's business. Anyway, I want to move on from that. I don't want to get bogged down with that because it takes away from some of the information here.
Yeah.
Because I'm just kind of looking at this thing, and I have been off and on for a couple of years, and it seems to have, with this kid, this 3-year-old who's kind of being groomed as being the golden child, as I'm jokingly referring to, it seems weird, but is it illegal? If they adopted this child legally and they're just taking care of him,
well, that's
where do we have a problem?
Their testimony and court records don't match up. One person, you know, in some materials they say Christian Keith is the mother of the child. In other materials, people have testified that Christian Keith is not the mother of the child. Some people have testified in depositions they don't know how they came about the child. The child is just so shrouded in mystery that nobody really can find this out. Hopefully people are working on this as we speak. I have no resources. I have no budget. I have no, you know, I'm unpaid. I do this as a civic service. And I just don't have the resources to dig that deep. And hopefully now that the story's been brought to light, that other media sources that have more money than I do and more investigative powers than I do can look into these matters.
Your opinion is that Rainier's a fraud. He's ripping people off. He's taking their money. It's some sort of cult-like environment, and this kid is being used as a tool to do that.
Yeah, he's being groomed as a prototype for the Rainbow Cultural Gardens, which he plans to charge $100,000 for tuition a year, in which he will take your child and guarantee he will speak 5 languages in a short period of time. That's the bottom line with the Rainbow Cultural Project.
Well, if somebody wanted to do that, why would that be so scary? I guess that's, I mean, I'm trying to look at it, if I'm, this isn't something that I'm going to sign up for. I like being mediocre. But if
you don't have enough money to sign up for.
Well, it's only the rich people apply, right, on this one?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure, and I know I keep hammering you with this, what is it that if rich people want to blow their money on some kind of crazy, bizarro program, let it be. It's their money.
Fine. I mean, that's absolutely fine. But expect to get some criticism, and don't try to destroy anybody who criticizes you. And second of all, do it on your own child. Don't drag some poor, unfortunate child into this under shady circumstances. If Rainier has his son, then that's fine. It's his own business. He's got parental rights. Mm-hmm. Or explain to some media type exactly where this child came from.
Well, I noticed that in most of these articles, and this very much, I see some parallels to Scientology, at least in my opinion here, that you can't get a hold of any of these people to talk or answer any questions. It's all secondary information, or it's from somebody who used to be involved and is no longer involved, and you don't really get any answers at all.
It's very hard. It's very hard. They're very secretive. I'll be happy to send you the confidentiality agreement and show you what these people signed.
What now? Is there anybody who's been in this group that says that they were abused or taken advantage of? And if so, why haven't they filed?
You just got to read the Boucher lawsuit, which is out there in public. It's on my website. You can see what happened to her when she ran afoul of them.
So what happened? Has anybody been able to prove this?
Bankruptcy. I can't speak for her, you understand, and I've never spoken to her. I've only read the court documents.
Okay, so there are people like that out there. It's really, you read this and it just sounds bizarre. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on or what the criminal activity is or isn't here, but John, I appreciate you for calling in.